what's going on, everyone? This is Austin from Calling Our Shot. Friday is here, and so are my best bets in the NBA for October 29th. Now, I teased this a couple days ago, but boom, we have some new graphics on the screen and a bunch of new segments. And we kind of do these segments as is, but I wanted some graphics to go along with them. But we have a new segment alert. Calling My Shot. You guys know the channel, Calling Our Shot. Calling My Shot will be the end of the video. We'll give you a value pick, something that should probably not happen, but something on a plus 200, plus 300 odds that I think has a decent shot of hitting, and it will be a segment for the rest of the season. We'll keep track of it. Now, yesterday, let's start with the first one, recap. Now, yesterday we had our second consecutive winning day. We're going 4-3. Sad news, our best bet, Kemba Walker. Yeah, he apparently, shout out, hey Kemba, thanks for watching the videos, because he gets motivated whenever I take his under. So I learned my lesson. We will not be touching a Kemba Walker under the rest of the season. But you can see the winners on the screen. We had a pretty good day, so subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. We just passed 11.5 thousand subscribers. Insane. Can we hit 12,000 this weekend? I pray you guys, I know you guys can do it. You guys have been killing it. Well, if we do it 12,000, we'll do another 12,000 parlay giveaway. Now, also smash that like button. It's Friday. Let's see if we can hit 300 likes. I appreciate you guys all showing the love. Last note, week 8 NFL best bets video live, and Logan's college football best bets video, both also live, linked at the end of the video, description and the comments down below. Fire your engines. Let's get started. I'm starting with my best bet, Jonas Valanciunas. Over 13.5 rebounds, minus 130 on FanDuel. Now, this line's high, and I understand it, and it probably might be 14.5 on your book, which I like if you can get it at plus value. If it's not plus value, don't even bother taking it. But this line's on FanDuel, and Valanciunas been on an absolute tear this season. Here are his rebounding numbers. 15 versus Atlanta, 23 versus the Timberwolves, 17 versus the Timberwolves, and then 8 versus the Bulls. So he's averaging 15 rebounds per game. He went under versus the Bulls, who actually allow the 8th fewest rebounds per game to opposing centers. Learned that the hard way with Mitchell Robinson yesterday, but today that is not the case, as they verse the Kings, who currently allow the most rebounds per game to opposing centers at 25.06 per game, by far the most in the NBA. Now, they allowed 21 to DeAndre Ayton, 11 to JaVale McGee, his backup, 20 to Rudy Gobert, 9 to Hassan Whiteside, 14 to Yusuf Nurkic. And then you look at the Warriors, they were the lone team that didn't really have a center go over this, but they don't really start a center. So does it really count? In his last 3 games versus Sacramento, he's had 13, 13, and 25 rebounds. If he wants to screw us on the hook, that's fine, but the data supports it. His production over his last 3 games has supported it. And Valanciunas currently averaging 24.8 rebound chances or opportunities per game, the most in the NBA. I think they stay in this game, so I'll lock it in. Now let's stay in this game, actually, and we'll move on to some spreads and over-unders. Taking the Kings, -2 versus the Pelicans. Now, I do think the Pelicans can stay in this game, but I like the Kings to get this outright win and just cover the 2 points. Now, the Kings coming off a pretty big victory against Phoenix. They were in Phoenix, taking on the Suns off a Harrison Barnes buzzer beater. And I think they continue that momentum into today. Now, the 4 teams they have played thus far, the Blazers, the Jazz, the Warriors, and the Suns. And they currently sit at 2-2. Those are probably 4 playoff teams. And last season, these 2 teams played 3 times. Now, granted, the Kings only won 1 of those games. Granted, it was in New Orleans, where they will play today, but they're a much different team. And so is the Pelicans, because in the 2 losses that the Kings had against the Pelicans, Zion Williamson had 30-plus points in each of them. He was a menace to them. They couldn't stop him. Well, sadly, Zion is not here. We look forward to seeing him on the court, probably taking some overs for him as the season goes on. But I'll ride with the Kings to pull out a big win on the road. They're just looking pretty good. I don't think this Pelicans roster is all that great. So just let Valanciunas do pretty well. Let the Kings win, and we're all good. Now, moving on to some over-unders. Clippers, Blazers. I'm taking the over, 222.5 points, -115 on BetMGM. Now, currently, the Clippers are ranked 5th in field goal attempts. They're shooting over 94 times per game, and the last time these 2 teams played, yeah, they shot 93 times in that game. Great job. They scored 116 points. But why did the over not hit? Well, the Blazers were terrible. They were absolutely terrible. I think they scored 86 points, something along those lines. Shot 8 for 37 from downtown, 22%. I could go out to my court and probably shoot over 22%. Granted, there's no defense, so that's not saying much. But they also committed 17 turnovers in the first half alone. Dame Lillard was clamped up, and he had, I don't remember how many turnovers he had, but I know Paul George has 8 steals. Now, I don't think that happens again. Those 17 turnovers seemed like more of an anomaly. The starters didn't play any of the fourth quarter. And out of the 4 games this season, the Blazers have gone over 115 points in every single one except for that game against the Clippers. Now, aside from that, they've gone over 116 to the Grizzlies, 134 to the Suns, 121 against the Kings. The Clippers fought the Grizzlies a couple days ago, lost 114 to 120, 234 total points. The Blazers beat the Grizzlies, scoring 116 points. You get it. Lillard, I think, gets back in a groove. I don't think he turns over the ball that much. The Blazers currently ranked second in pace. Clippers a little bit behind him at ninth in pace. These two teams like to shoot a lot of shots and a lot of three-pointers. And all it takes is them to knock down some shots tonight. That's how you hit an over. You just have to make some shots. I know, crazy concept. We'll take the over here. Now we're moving on to a team total under. Taking the Hornets. Team total under 108.5 points, minus 115 on BetMGM. Now the Hornets, they're on a tear this season. They've actually cashed this over in every single game this season. So props to them. Only negative is today they take on the Miami Heat team, who have not allowed a single team to hit this over, and they haven't even allowed one team to score more than 100 points this season. They have the #1 defensive rating, and I think they'll continue to have that throughout the year. They love to play defense, and props to them. That's why they're an underdog for an NBA championship contender. Now, I'm not going to say, hey, they're the favorites, but they're an underdog, and I think they have a good chance here. They've held good offenses like the Milwaukee Bucks to 95 points, the Indiana Pacers to 91 points, Brooklyn Nets to 93 points, and they are at home today. Now, the Heat match up pretty well against this Hornets team. They got Bam Adebayo protecting the paint. He doesn't have to go anywhere, not like Plumlee shooting jump shots. Put PJ Tucker on Miles Bridges, Jimmy Butler on Gordon Hayward, just have Lowry mess around with LaMelo, and they should have a decent chance. Now, there's a reason they've slowed opponents' defenses down. All these guys like to play defense. This is the Hornets' second road game in 3 days, and before they return home to play a couple games at home, maybe they come out flat. We've seen that with like a Grizzlies team against the Warriors who were on a road stretch. I like the team total under here. If the Hornets want to go out and score a ton of points, I'll take it. But I think the Heat got a good chance. So let's move on to some player props. And I got a couple of them for you. I'll likely add some more, so make sure you follow us on Twitter at Calling Our Shot. Let's start it off. OG Anunoby, over 18.5 points, minus 110 on BetMGM, taking on the Magic. Ever since a slow start to the season, he scored just 11 and 14 points versus the Wizards and Celtics. He has turned it on in a big way. He scored 23, 22, and 25 points in his last 3. And the biggest thing, he's shooting a ton. He shot 17 or more times in 4 of 5 games. The one game he didn't shoot 17 times, and he only shot 15 times. Now, half of those shots are three-pointers too, so he just has to knock down a couple, and we are in business. I'm only asking for 18.5 points. Love the matchup against the Orlando Magic, who are allowing the 5th most points per game to opposing small forwards at over 26 a game. I think OG can get it done. You think about the Magic, they have a bunch of guards and a bunch of centers like Mo Bamba and Wendell Carter. They don't have a lot of good small forwards or power forwards, really, that can match up with OG Anunoby's size and athleticism. Franz Wagner, the rookie, I don't think he can guard OG Anunoby. So give me the over in this one. Now let's stick in the same game. We're taking Cole Anthony, taking over 4.5 assists per game, minus 135 on DraftKings. Now Cole Anthony has cashed this for us before. We're asking for his services again. Now the number has creeped up to 5.5 in most books, but DraftKings said, hey, here's 4.5. And I'm going to say I won't allow this. So I'll take it. Now, I don't mind it at 5.5 if you can get it at plus value, like plus 110, plus 120. This is a guy that's averaging 13.4 assist opportunities per game. He's been cashing this pretty well. He just had 14 assist opportunities last game, and he turned it into 6 assists when he probably could have had more. Over his last 4, he's had 6, 8, and 6 assists. I believe those are his exact numbers. Might have one of those off, but he has a 25% usage rate and is seeing over 32 minutes per game. Last season versus Toronto, he hit this over in 2 of 3 games, and he didn't have the usage rate that he has this season. Didn't have the role as a facilitator like he does this season. I think he will hit this. If you look at it, almost every single point guard every point guard that has taken on the Raptors that starts has hit this over 5 assists. 5.5 is a little more questionable, but I think he's got a good chance to get it done. So we'll lock it in. Moving on to an under, Ivica Zubach. I don't know if I pronounced his first name right. Under 7.5 rebounds, minus 125 at Caesars. Zubach, whatever you want to call him, 2 for 4 on this line, and he's only had in the 2 times he's hit it, he's landed on 8 rebounds both times. Now he did do it against the Blazers in their first matchup, but I think he goes under this today. Now the Blazers, they could not buy a bucket like we talked about in that last game, and Zubach, it was rebounds galore, and Zubach he played 25 minutes, so props to him, but I think his number of minutes decreases today. He's only gone over this line in 4 of his last 6 matchups versus Portland, and I think they get him involved in some screen and rolls, or make him play some more defense on Dame Lillard, trying to get him switched, and I think that gets him out of the game pretty quickly. Sharper books have this number at minus 200. Now, I mean sharper books like Pinnacle and whatnot. When the books normally are much sharper, normally there's a big line discrepancy. I always take it because normally it's going to cash more often than not. That's how I found Cole Anthony's prop the first time. That's how we're going to do it today with Zubach. Take his under 7.5 rebounds if you got it. Now moving on, calling my shot time. Here we go. De'Aaron Fox, 30 plus points, plus 245 on FanDuel. Now, I think he's been on an interesting tear this season. Now, he did not get close he got close in the first game this season, and he struggled the last couple games, but he's still shooting 16 to 20 times. And in his last 4 games versus the Pelicans, he has scored 43, 38, 43, and 40 points. The man's been on a mission. He doesn't like the Pelicans. He goes off on them. He's cashed in all 4. His regular point prop is 24.5, but in my opinion, he either gets 30 or he's not finishing above 20. So I'd rather take the value plus 245, maybe a little bit of a sprinkle on that, baby. Now you don't have to put a full unit. Please don't put a full unit on it, but I do think he's got a chance. Trae Young just had a pretty good game against his Pelicans roster, and that's why I'm calling my shot. De'Aaron Fox, 30 plus points. Lock it in. That'll do it. I'll put up the 2 videos on the screen. I add some more player props on Twitter as the day goes on. And check the pinned comment if you aren't on Twitter. This has been Austin. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.